You're down 3 runs. What kind of feeling did you have at that time about your prospects of winning the ball game?
We built it up all year long. It's been like that. But no matter where we were down 6-0 in Pittsburgh, came back and won that ball game because we never put our heads between our legs and we always fought. And it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Got him. The greatest game ever pitched. Baseball history by Don Larson. A no-hitter, a perfect game in a World Series. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
What if I told you that some of the most insane moments in baseball history happened when complete nobodies took down absolute legends? I'm talking about a 17-year-old girl striking out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig back to back. A kid from rural Mexico psychologically destroying the most dominant Yankees dynasty ever assembled. A 35-year-old high school teacher becoming a major league pitcher in 3 months. And a team that lost 120 games transforming into World Series champions. Trust me, I'm not making this stuff up. This is real David and Goliath moments that actually happened, and they're amazing. So before we get into it, guys, thank you so much on the support on the channel. We're on our road to 50,000 subscribers, as you know. If you can, subscribe, turn those notifications on. We're giving out a jersey every couple of uploads. This upload's winner is at Xander Man Can. Appreciate you, bro. Reach out to me, I'll get you that jersey. Everyone else, let me know what jersey you'd like in the comments below. Also, before we get started, guys, Fabletics, I've been wearing you guys at the gym, at home for months now. I love it. It's so cozy. This is not an ad, but I would like to be sponsored by you guys if you would want me. I don't know, just saying. Love the gear, love the merch. Putting it out there. Check it out. Uni Diamond Talk, Fabletics. Let's make it happen. Anyways, back to the video, guys. So picture this. It's April 2nd, 1931. The world is in the grips of the Great Depression, but in Chattanooga, Tennessee, something magical is about to happen that nobody believed for decades. You have the New York Yankees with Babe Ruth at the absolute peak of his powers, the most famous athlete on planet Earth maybe at that time, a man who had just hit 49 home runs the year before and was essentially a walking god to baseball fans. Next to him, you had Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse, who was about to embark on one of the greatest consecutive game streaks in sports history. Together, they formed Murderers Row, quite literally the most feared duo in baseball history. But something crazy happened here in 1931. So shocking that MLB would eventually ban it from ever happening again. Enter Jackie Mitchell. She was a 17-year-old girl standing maybe 5'7", weighing 130 pounds. She had signed with the Chattanooga Lookouts just days earlier, becoming only the second woman ever in professional baseball history. Now, here's what nobody knew. Her neighbor was Hall of Fame pitcher Dazzy Vance, who had been secretly teaching her his devastating drop ball since she was a child. This kid had learned from a master.
The team sent in its secret weapon, 17-year-old rookie left-hander Vine Beatrice Jackie Mitchell. Babe Ruth was up. Jackie missed the corner with her first pitch, but fooled him with her next two. The Babe thought the fourth pitch was a ball, but instead, it was strike 3. You're out. Later, Jackie said, I had a drop pitch, and when I was throwing right, you couldn't touch it. Jackie Mitchell, the only woman ever to strike out baseball's legendary Babe Ruth.
So the game starts, the Lookout starting pitcher gives up a few early hits, and the manager, Bert Niehoff, makes the call that would echo through history. He brings in this teenage girl to face the heart of the Yankees lineup. First up, you have Babe Ruth himself. And this is the same Babe Ruth who publicly declared just days earlier, quote, I don't know what's going to happen if they begin to let women in baseball. Of course, they will never make good. Why? Because they're too delicate. It would kill them to play ball every day. End quote. So Mitchell takes the mound with the unusual delivery she learned from her neighbor. Throws a ball to get things started, but then boom, drops the ball. Next thing you know, it's a 1-2 count, and Ruth is watching helplessly as the ball catches the outside corner for a called strike 3. Ruth absolutely explodes. He slams his bat down in disgust and starts yelling at the umpire before telling his teammates to drag him back to the dugout. Unbelievable. The 17-year-old girl just struck out Babe Ruth. But she didn't stop there. Next up, Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse, the most consistent, reliable hitter in baseball, the man who never struck out in pressure situations. Jackie Mitchell struck him out on 3 straight pitches, and he swung and missed on each one. The baseball world as a whole lost their minds from this story. The headlines the next day screamed, "Girl pitcher fans Ruth and Gary." This 17-year-old girl had just embarrassed the two most powerful men in American sports. But unfortunately, a couple days after this had happened, baseball commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis voided Mitchell's contract, declaring that women were quote-unquote unfit for professional baseball because the game was quote-unquote too strenuous. For decades, obviously people were like, this is staged, there's no way that was real, it was a publicity stunt. But guys, the footage is real, the newspaper articles are all documented, and Jackie till this day has maintained that every pitch was genuine and she pitched to her highest ability. But that is just the first David and Goliath story I had to tell you guys. Fast forward 50 years, baseball is in a crisis. A devastating players' strike has split the 1981 season in half. Fans are angry, attendance is plummeting, and America's pastime desperately needs a hero. Enter Fernando Venezuela, a 20-year-old left-handed pitcher from Mexico. Before we get to the magic of Fernandomania, you need to understand just how impossible Fernando Venezuela's journey was. Fernando grew up in one of the most rural villages in Mexico. He was the youngest of 12 children, walking on dirt roads, dirt floors, no electricity, no running water. His family survived by working agricultural fields. His father made maybe $1 a day when they were at work. At age 13, Fernando was working in the fields from sunrise to sunset. The idea of playing professional baseball in America, you might as well have told him he'd fly to the moon. The kid didn't even have a proper coach, no training facilities, no youth leagues, just a left-handed kid throwing rocks at a can and still developing one of the most devastating screwballs in baseball history. And against all odds, Fernando Venezuela, from a time where international baseball was not making it to the major leagues, he somehow found himself getting signed by the Dodgers at age 18 after playing in the Mexican minor leagues at age 17. Now, let's talk about who he was facing in 1981. Specifically, the World Series that year. The Yankees were at the height of their modern dynasty. We're talking about Reggie Jackson, Ron Guidry, Willie Randolph, Dave Winfield, Goose Gossage. This is a roster that had won the World Series in 77 and 78 and was loaded with Hall of Famers. But before we get to the World Series, back to the beginning of the season here, this is what makes Fernando's story incredible. When he first took the mound for the Dodgers in 1981, he couldn't speak English like at all. He needed an interpreter for every interview, every conversation with his catcher, yet when he pitched, he was magnificent. The screwball was unlike anything hitters had ever seen. It would start looking like a fastball, then suddenly dive and break the opposite direction for a curveball. Every veteran hitter who'd been in the leagues for decades was completely lost. And the kid started the season 8-0 with 5 shutouts, dominating.
I believe that Fernando will always be a hero to the Mexican-American community. People love him. To this day, they love him.
It's an LA story. I honestly believe that it's part of the history of Los Angeles. That's the impact that he had, not just on the Latino community, but on Los Angeles.
They called it Fernandomania, and it was unlike anything baseball had ever witnessed during his warm-ups at Dodger Stadium. They played ABBA's Fernando over the PA system. Kids across America started imitating his high leg kick windup, where he'd look up to the sky before unleashing his devastating screwball. I mean, this kid at the age of just 20 years old didn't just win the Rookie of the Year, he won the Cy Young Award. He was the best pitcher in baseball and also just happened to be a cultural ambassador for the Latino community that Los Angeles needed, especially in Chavez Ravine, who had their community displaced to build Dodger Stadium. But the real test came in October. The Dodgers made the World Series against the ultimate Goliath, the New York Yankees, the team that represented everything powerful and established in American sports. After losing the first 2 games in New York, the Dodgers were on the brink of elimination. Game 3 at Dodger Stadium, everything on the line. And who gets the ball? The 20-year-old kid. Fernando took the mound facing the most pressure any rookie has ever experienced. He gave up 9 hits and 7 walks, which by statistical numbers would mean a loss, right? Like that kind of means he got destroyed, but somehow he stayed in for the whole game, pitched 147 pitches, and led the Dodgers to a 5-4 victory. After that incredible stamina performance, the Dodgers won the next 3 games, claimed the championship. Fernando became the first and only player in MLB history to win both the Rookie of the Year and Cy Young Award in the same season. So Fernandomania wasn't just about baseball, it was a cultural phenomenon. But as amazing as Fernando's story is, we're just getting started. Let me tell you about the most unlikely major league debut in baseball history. Jim Morris was supposed to be a star. 1983, first round draft pick by the Milwaukee Brewers, 4th overall selection, big left-handed pitcher with a cannon arm and an unlimited potential. Then reality hit like a sledgehammer. Here's what nobody talks about. Morris's arm basically fell apart. We're not talking about a sore shoulder or a minor strain. The guy had 4 different arm surgeries in 1989. Doctors removed most of his deltoid muscle, literally cut away the primary muscle that controls the throwing motion. Doctors told him point blank, you will not be pitching again ever, period. You're 25, your dreams are crushed. You can barely lift your arms above your head. Guy is gutted. So Morris goes home to West Texas, gets married, has 3 kids, becomes a high school physics teacher and a baseball coach in a town called Big Lake with a population of like 2,500. For 10 years, Jim Morris was the definition of ordinary, teaching teenagers about velocity and acceleration during the day and coaching a perpetually losing baseball team after school. That team he coached, the Reagan County Owls, were awful, like historically bad. They'd won 9 games in the past 3 years prior to Morris showing up. These kids who'd been losing by 10 plus runs regularly suddenly started playing like champions. Why, you might ask? Well, because when Morris was tossing his players batting practice, he was tossing gas. It got to the point during one of Morris's speeches to the team about following their dreams, the kids encouraged Morris to follow his. So they made a crazy deal. They said, hey, if this team can make the state tournament, something the school had never done before, then Morris would have to go and try out for an MLB team. So Morris is like, okay, screw it. Yeah, deal. Gets my kids motivated. Let's play ball. This is never going to actually happen, but let's go for it. But then the impossible actually happened. The Reagan County Owls might not have won a state championship, but they made it to the second round and overachieved. The kids held up their end of the bargain, and now Morris had to keep his promise. And so he did. He went to throw in front of a Tampa Bay Devil Rays scout who didn't even want to be there, a 35-year-old teacher who teaches physics. Come on. But then Morris threw his first pitch. Boom, 98 miles an hour. Next pitch, 98 miles an hour. 12 consecutive fastballs, all clocked 98 miles an hour. The scout's jaw dropped to the floor. In 3 months, Jim Morris went from teaching physics to signing a professional contract. On September 18th, 1999, in Arlington Stadium, Morris takes the mound for Tampa Bay against the Texas Rangers in his home state, where everyone he'd known through his baseball dreams could see him. First batter, Royce Clayton, a veteran all-star by the way, 4-pitch strikeout. The 35-year-old physics teacher had just struck out a major league hitter in his first appearance. That is what it's all about, guys. Now, yes, he didn't have the best career, but it's not about the failure. It's about, for 2 seasons, a high school teacher proved that dreams do not have expiration dates. Sometimes your body breaks down or you're told you're not good enough, but no matter what, anyone can achieve anything, and that is incredible. And now let me paint you a picture of athletic futility so complete it defied imagination. The New York Mets, born in 1962, weren't just bad. They were like really, really bad. Their first season, 40 wins, 120 losses. The worst record in modern baseball history. They didn't just lose games, they found creative new ways to embarrass themselves daily. Casey Stengel, their first manager and Yankee legend, summed it up perfectly saying, "Come and see my amazing Mets. I've been in this game for 100 years, but I see new ways to lose I never knew existed before." For 7 straight seasons, the Mets finished dead last or second to last in a 10-team league. They lost over 100 games 5 times. They were so bad at losing, it was almost part of their charm. People came to Shea Stadium to watch them lose and to see how they would lose. Would they collide in the outfield? Would they throw to the wrong base? Would they drop the ball? It was incredible. Las Vegas set their 1969 odds at 100-1 just to win the pennant. Not even the World Series, just to make the playoffs. 100-1. But here's where it gets crazy. 1969, something magical happened. New manager Gil Hodges, a beloved Brooklyn Dodgers legend, took over a team of kids. The entire lineup under 26. Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Gary Gentry, babies by baseball standards, but with arms like rocket launchers. These weren't the lovable losers anymore. These were the hungry young wolves who hadn't learned they were supposed to lose. Standing in their way, the Baltimore Orioles. Quite possibly the most talented team ever assembled. 109 regular season win team, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, 3 future Hall of Famers Famers in their primes, a pitching staff led by Dave McNally, Jim Palmer, and Mike Cooler that was absolutely unhittable. The Orioles were supposed to demolish the Mets. Yet somehow we got to a place that we were in Game 5 at Shea Stadium, and they were leading the series 3-1.
The Mets are out on the last of the third. No runs, one hit, there were no errors, one left. At the end of 3 innings, it's Baltimore 3 and the Mets nothing.
But then in the 6th inning, the impossible happens. Cleon Jones gets hit by a pitch on the foot. The umpire misses it completely, no call. The rally is dead. But manager Gil Hodges calmly walks to home plate, carrying the baseball. He points to a black smudge on the ball, says shoe polish, he tells the umpire, and then the umpire awards Jones first base. And then right after that, they get a 2-run homer. Mets tie the game in the 7th.
Hodges showing it to Lou DeMuro, who awards first base. Another shoe polish play. Way back in left field. Going, gone for a home run.
And then take the lead in the 8th.
Breaking pitches hit up the air down the left field line. Buford is racing over. He can't get it. He short-hopped it. Jones is coming home. There'll be no play at the plate. He scores, and Swoboda goes to second on the throw.
Jerry Koosman, the farm kid pitcher, retires 19 of the final 21 Orioles hitters he faces. Bottom of the 9th, Davey Johnson of the Orioles hits a routine fly ball to left field. Cleon Jones settles under it, catches it. Boom. The New York Mets, 7 years removed from losing 120 games, are World Series champions.
The 2-1 pitch. There's a fly ball hit out to left. Waiting is Jones. The Mets are the world champions.
They become the first ever expansion team to win a World Series. From 40 wins to World Series champions in just 8 years. A team that found new ways to lose had found the ultimate way to win. Even God himself later joked about it in the movie Oh God. The deity says this:
I don't do miracles. They're too flashy, and they upset the natural balance. The last miracle I did was the 1969 Mets. Before that, I think you have to go back to the Red Sea.
But that brings us to the final David and Goliath moment that we have to mention, and that happens way after the Mets. We're talking about Don Larson, right? He's the definition of the average pitcher. Career record was 81-91, more losses than wins, right? He's known more for drinking with Mickey Mantle than pitching. The guy who bounced around teams like a pinball. He was nothing special at all. The only time he ever led the major leagues in any category was in 1954 when he led the league in lost games for the Baltimore Orioles. Yet somehow, someway, just 4 days before our story, Larson got absolutely shelled in Game 2 of the 1956 World Series. This guy was a drunk. This guy was mediocre at best. Nobody expected anything. He just got shelled in Game 2 of the World Series. Didn't even last 2 innings against the Brooklyn Dodgers. Yet, come Game 5, Casey Stengel puts the ball in his shoe and says, "You're up." And to set the stage here, guys, Game 5, Brooklyn Dodgers, the lineup includes Jackie Robinson, Duke Snider, Gil Hodges, Roy Campanella, and Pee Wee Reese. This is an all-time lineup. You can't just get away with it. And on top of that, it's Yankees versus Dodgers, the original Subway Series. Larson didn't find out he was starting until he arrived at the clubhouse and found the warm-up ball in his shoe. And so, on October 8th, 1956, Larson takes the mound for Game 5 with absolutely no expectations. He was just trying to not get embarrassed again, but something insane happened that afternoon. Using a no wind-up delivery, Larson started retiring Dodger after Dodger. First inning, 3 up, 3 down. Second inning, same thing. By the 4th inning, Mickey Mantle had given the Yankees a 1-0 lead with a home run off of Sal Maglie.
There's one at base there. It is going down.
But the real drama was what Don Larson was doing on the mound. In the 5th inning, Gil Hodges hit a ball over 400 feet to left center that looked like extra bases, but Mantle made a crazy catch, robbing Hodges of a sure double, one amazing defensive play away from losing the perfect game.
There's a drive to left center. Mantle digging hard. Still going. Big catch. How about that?
By the 7th inning, the entire stadium realized what was happening. Larson knew too. He tried to talk to people in the dugout and nobody was going to talk to him. They were avoiding him like the plague, as he says, which is a classic baseball superstition. You have Don Larson, 81-91 career record, more famous for partying than pitching, was 3 innings away from the only perfect game in World Series history.
High fly ball to right. Hank Bauer is there, waiting. 1 out. Bouncer down towards Billy Martin. 2 out. Got him. The greatest game ever pitched. Baseball history by Don Larson. A no-hitter, a perfect game in a World Series.
And And boom, there you have it. The guy who drank too much might have even been drunk during the game through the only perfect game ever done in the World Series in Major League Baseball history. And Don Larson did not dominate for the rest of his career after that. He finished his career with a 99 ERA plus, meaning he was slightly below a league average pitcher in his career. But for 97 pitches on one October afternoon, the imperfect pitcher achieved absolute perfection on the highest stage in sports. Now, I'm curious what you guys think. Were there any stories I missed of David versus Goliath moments? Let me know in the comments below if I should check those out. And let me know if there's any other topics you guys want me to cover. But that's all for today, guys. Thank you again. I'll see you on the next one.